Ladies and gentlemen, on this YouTube channel, I cover a lot of different chess content, from great players, to computers, to my own tournament games, to some lower ELO content. But in this video, I'm going to share something special with you. A video purely where I get my butt kicked. Every single game in this video, I lose. This is from the recent Title Tuesday tournament on chess.com, and I lose these games in a variety of different ways. And the point of this is a few reasons. You can learn how to deal with loss and learn from the games that you lose. You can also laugh at your favorite or second or third or seventh favorite chess content creator. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. And the final game is really pure content. So yeah, let's get into it. This is round number 2, and my opponent is Potapova from Russia, whose name I thought was actually Maria. It turns out it's Margarita. It turns out that I'm just stereotyping Russian names. But Potapova is a very strong player. I think she's like 19 or 20 years old. This was the second round, and the game began with an IMSO Indian. I had the black pieces. I mean, if you're going to play knight f6, e6 into knight c3, you really should be going with bishop to b4. Title Tuesday, the first few rounds of Title Tuesday are interesting because I only have really good results in Title Tuesday if I can get out of the first games against 24, 25, 2600s with relatively smooth performances. So this is a very important game to begin kind of building the Title Tuesday streak. She plays Queen c2, which is probably the best line against an IMSO. It's designed to take back here with the queen, not double your c-pawns. It also prepares the move e4. It is one of the main lines. The other main line is e3, but personally I think queen c2 is the most annoying. Now, there are a million lines here for black. You can play castles, you can play b6, you can play the immediate d5. There's even knight c6 attacking this. There is c5, which is a main line. I like to go for d5 in my blitz games because some of the lines are super sharp and interesting. And she plays the most solid line, which is to take on d5. White also can play a3. And there is this variation that I played against Benjamin Bach, which is where you sacrifice the pawn. Notice we've pushed this here. And you get like a big center. Or sometimes you even sacrifice the second pawn. It's a crazy line. But she plays like this. And now bishop g5. So black here has a lot of ways to play, but in general, when you have a pin and they counter pin your queen, in many Rogozin and Nimzo positions, the best thing to play is to play some sort of h6 g5 and c5. So these three things, kicking the bishop back to the g3 square, which allows you to then jump your knight into the middle, very dynamically pressuring here, as well as attacking the loose center of white with the move c5 or knight c6. So everything you're going to see from this point breaks everything you know about chess, unless you like have studied this line and you kind of get it. If you're a beginner, do not play like this. Do as I say, not as I do. Again, I always compare this to advanced kitchen techniques. You most likely should not be trying to do super fancy stuff in the kitchen if you're going to burn the toast or spill things on yourself. So I played h6, then I played knight c6. This move will make e3 happen. And I always say don't put knights in front of c-pawns in queen pawn positions. I know this is a line though, I promise. g5 and now h5. So black essentially just goes directly after this bishop and also tries knight to e4. There's this combination of ideas. The position is objectively completely equal. The computer thinks there's kind of inherent equality, but you're playing for something. You're not just playing like a very balanced position. So she plays the main line. Bishop to b5. This move pins the knight and kind of gets white on the way to being fully developed. I play h4. She plays bishop e5, and here I've tried a few different things, but I think the best line is just simply to castle out of this pin like this. Now here I only was aware of one line for white, and that was bishop takes f6, queen f6, and bringing this bishop back to d3. Something along these lines, like bringing the bishop back, and then white plays knight e2 and is just super solid and kind of, you know, and next this a3 to try to get our bishop, and then black will rotate the knight around and, you know, make sure to play c6 at some point. So, but she took my knight, and I was like, I don't think this is, I think you want the bishop. So I'm starting to think, okay, bishop a6, I'm starting to think knight g4, make this bishop look dumb, because white does not want bishops versus knights. I mean, you don't just want to give both bishops up for no reason. So she played knight e2, and I'm like, all right, I think she played something slightly inaccurate, so we should probably take over the initiative. with a move like knight to g4. Knight to g4 is a nice move. I have an idea to potentially play f6 and maybe lock in the bishop, although I have to worry about the queen coming here. Always remember that if you move a pawn, the corresponding squares get weaker. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if she lets me take, I'm gonna take. And she did. She let me take. Here, I could have taken on c3 and went for f6. Apparently that leads to an insane variation. It leads to take, f6, take. And if I take here, my rook is hanging. But when that all happens, this is hanging. And then if white plays h3 to attack my knight and make me move my rook, I have check here, kaboom, check, discovered attack. You know, a little hard to see in a blitz game. Not gonna lie. Instead of that, I was like, I'm just gonna go back to e7 and then take this bishop. And I thought, oh, I am so happy here. I have the bishops. I just said if I get bishops versus knights, I'm happy. Here's the problem. I don't know what my next move is. And then I realized that she's actually just going to castle queenside. Like, even though I have this open line, and I could potentially, like, get my bishop to f, or, like, you know, trade the queen and put my bishop on f5. I'm like, wait a minute. This is actually kind of unpleasant. Because most people I play against will castle short in these positions. Because this is just not, that's not really a kingside attack. It's more like a restricting mechanism. I'm like, all right, this is kind of a problem. She can also play knight d4. So I'm like, all right, let's play c5. She's going to castle. Let's play c6. All right. Now, what is she going to do? She is most likely going to play g3 to try to crack open my king's position. She plays f4, which I didn't think was right because you still have the g-pawn. So I'm like, okay, she played f4. That's not that scary. I'm not going to take because that just helps white, so I'm not going to do that. F4 is not a very scary move, so, you know, maybe I play rook b8, or I'm going to continue with my plan. I want to go trade queens. So I play queen d7. With no queens, I'm not in any danger. So she plays g3. And then I realize queen f5 is actually a really bad move. Because she will just hit me with this. And that's not that scary on its own. You're like, okay, I don't understand. You just take. Here's the problem. At this point, well, during the game, admittedly, I thought white would just play knight takes e4. And like, you know, if I take like this, I just thought that this is way too strong of an attack. Yeah, computer finds a way, but this is actually very dangerous to just go roam in with my queen like, I'm gonna take these pawns, but maybe get checkmated. I don't know why I sang that in the Caillou theme song, but you get a lot of references on this channel, so that's just another one. And so what I decided here was to do this. I decided to play the move f5, and here was my logic. She's not gonna take en passant. Because if she does, that just opens up my bishop, that opens up my rook, that opens up my e-file. Yeah, no. And queen g6 is not scary because queen g7. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go f5. If she takes on h4 like this, she gets the g-file. Sure. But she's never getting her queen in the attack. Her knight can't go anywhere. Oh, well, I mean, it can get taken there. And if she plays rook g1, I'm just going to move. And my next few moves are rook g8. You know, maybe queen e8, queen h5, maybe queen e6, bishop d7, connect my rooks. I thought I'm very happy. I said, okay, f5 looks dangerous, but I blocked the queen. We're going to get takes here, king h8. And then she went here. And I was like, what? Huh? I just trade, right? And then came this move, and I was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Danger levels. My levels got dangered. You see, I thought e8 was, I thought e6 was actually not super scary because, I just go queen e8. I was like, I don't understand what's so good about this. She calculated a move further. This is actually not good because here this rook gets trapped. This is actually very funny. I mean, it's one thing when I take you through the moves of a high-level game and you're like, yes, of course, oh my god, Gotham is so dumb, or whoever's game you're looking at so dumb, I would have seen that. No, I mean, rook h6 is actually not the idea. The idea of rook g6 is to push the pawn forward, is to activate the queen on f5, and is to lever in a second rook. The second rook needs to come join the attack. I thought rook g6 was not scary because I'm in time to make the trade. It turns out that all of this is possible. Because I originally intended here to just play like this, and I thought I'm fine. But geometry kills black here. White goes queen h5. You can't go here because you lose your queen. So this, and now you've been removed from the defense of the bishop, and queen e5. And, well, that basically happened in the game. I played like this. I tried not to take. She gave me check. And then I blocked. She gave me check. And then I blocked and she went here. And this little box of checks, if I block, there is this. If I go here, there is still this, and also rook g1, so I resigned. So, what happened in this game? I played an overly sharp variation, and I was not aware of the nuances of the position at all. I mean, I completely misplayed this. This is not the right plan at all, but now I'm gonna learn. So after this game, I analyzed what I'm supposed to do. I checked the database, and, you know, I found that the right way to play this position is actually to bring the bishop back here, potentially. Knight g4 is a little bit too adventurous, and, you know, if you get hit with a3, you really should be looking to make some trades, because if white is left with too many pieces and opposite side castling, the king weaknesses here will pay off. Now, you know, people in the chat during the game were telling me I was playing disrespectfully by pushing all my pawns. You really should stay away from synopsis of games like that, because that's not really, you know, we played theory. We just had a very hot dish and we dropped it. And I was completely outcalculated. So credit to my opponent. Now, a couple rounds later, I got a game against the 2570 CM. I believe this guy is named Maroon. I don't know if that's like on his profile, but he's from Canada. I think we've played before. And this game had a totally different vibe than the game against Potapova. This one was e4, d5. Against e4, I like to play either the Caro-Kann, or I like to go for my gambits repertoire with the black pieces, which is this, which can lead to very fun gambits like the Icelandic gambit with e6. Take, you know, if they blunder with d4, you can hit them with like all sorts of crazy tactics on their king. You get like a huge lead in development. But the problem is, if you get an opponent who just plays really solidly, like this, for example, like just, you know, developing, not taking any particular risk, it's really hard to create imbalance, right? And you have to win games. I mean, that's what we're here for. So I play knight f6, he plays knight e2, and here black can develop with bishop g4. You can already tell that giving white 4 pieces to 1 is probably not the smartest way to play. On the flip side, the queen is a little awkward ahead of everybody. I mean, you're not going to get mated. I mean, you can play like knight here and hang mate, but I don't know why you would. So I played, you know, I just like kind of finished my development. And then when I got my opponent to play h3, I decided to give up the bishop pair. And okay, we are solid, but we are worse. And we are worse because white simply has the bishop pair. You know, which is an opening problem. I mean, probably I should have played the Caro-Kann, but I had already lost in round 2, so I'm like, all right, I got to play a little bit more risky of an opening. I don't want to play Caro, maybe have too solid of a game. And lo and behold, we get a game that's uber solid. Like white is slightly better because of the bishop pair and slightly better development. So how do you play a position like this? You try to be rock solid, right, for a while. So first of all, I traded my light squared bishop, so 6 of my 7 pawns will stay on the light squares. The problem is, when you have a rock solid position, rock solid and dynamic very rarely go together, which means that your play is limited. You cannot make easy pawn breaks because you're rock solid. The pawns are there to support the position. They're not there to like break into the opponent's territory. So what you're going to see here is a little bit of maneuvering action from both of us. We kind of maneuver back and forth. I see where my opponent is trying to go. You know, he's just kind of making some solid moves. Now, this actually was a moment I could have broken with e5. So this random retreating move, which didn't really do a whole lot in the position, I could have played e5. The reason I didn't is because I was a little hesitant to leave myself with an isolated pawn. I was like, I don't know, maybe this transformation is just not very good for me. And then maybe this pawn just becomes a target. No, actually it's completely fine, because even though I have an isolated pawn, my opponent has lost the benefit of their position, which is the bishop pair. Also, this knight is kind of stupid. Like, where can it go? It can't go anywhere. It can go back to h1, which is funny. That's the best word I can use to describe that. So it's interesting. A pawn break would have actually greatly helped me here. But I was sort of in a weird shuffling mood. Like, I was just trying to kind of play non-committal moves, just, you know, slide and wait for my opponent to come to me. And he did. And I was like, oh, there it is. Here comes h4, h5. All right, now I'm going to continue to put pawns on light squares. This knight still can't really do a whole lot. And we actually, the computer here says 0, 0, 0. You know, 6 or 7 moves ago, the computer said 0.7. It likes the way I've consolidated everything. Now it's time to make a break. So he plays knight e4. Of course, we trade. I mean, I say of course because if I don't trade, the knight goes to g5 or c5. and that's pretty bad. So the quality of the future piece is something you need to keep in mind when you make exchanges. I also have a video on when to make trades. So I play rook d8. And the point of rook d8 is to actually, in the future, play e5, because then this will allow me to take with the rook. That's my plan. So opponent plays this, I play this, and he plays queen back to c2. Good move, controlling my pawn breaks, because again, if I play e5 now, there might be bishop g5. If I play c5, then I'm giving up this square. You see, so take, something like this. I mean, this is just always going to be just a little bit unpleasant. Always a little bit unpleasant. And in the game, I still go for c5. And I thought this is not really so scary. This is also not really so scary because I just have bishop f6. I mean, what are we concerned about, right? So, rook d1. Now is a very difficult decision. Do I take and transform the structure and give him double g-pawns, but the pawn here will control some important squares? It's hard to win this pawn, because if I move my knight, on the opposite side we have rooks. It's important to see the entire board, right? I decided to take and play rook c8, setting up the movement of my horse. I wanted to move my knight and then attack this pawn on g5. Now, at this point, people during the game in chat, or like after the game, were like, yo, why not knight b4? That's such a good move. If he takes your knight, you win his queen. That thought process in chess does not work. You can't just say, if he takes, you win his queen, it's a good move. What if they don't? Like, do we have any other threat? That's not a threat. So like, what if this? Now your knight is actually hanging, right? So you just have to move it. So you can't just be like, knight b4. Well, at a lower level, you can. That's how people play chess at a lower level. They're like, knight b4, if he takes me, I take his queen. But that's not really, you got to prove yourself wrong, right? So I play rook c8, plays queen e4. And here, I really wanted to play this. I mean, this had been my original intention, but I really didn't like surrendering the dark squares to my opponent's queen. You know, I wanted to kind of keep the knight there so that he wouldn't be able to get the queen here. And I really wanted to play knight c7. I can't play knight c7 because I thought there's queen here. It turns out that then I locked the queen in jail, which is just like, that is such a weird tactic, like just going back, because I only thought about this when my queen defends both my rooks, but then queen b5, which is actually still okay, believe it or not. I have this with a fork, which I didn't see because it was that kind of a day. I'm like, okay, well, no problem. I mean, if I can't, I don't want to let him get this, so I'm going to play b6, and then there, so then there's this, right? There's no pawn there, there's a ghost. And then he took my knight. What are you going to do? If I take like this, he has a double attack on my rook. If I take like this, he takes, he takes, and he wins my rook. So in overcomplicating the situation, I blundered one move, just the one mover, just rook takes knight. I mean, it's just a move you don't think is possible, right? You're just sitting there like, oh yeah. So this was just the like pure blindness. I mean, this was maybe you can argue that the opening was not right, but it's blitz. I mean, the opening doesn't matter a whole lot in blitz, right? But it was just, you know, position was solid for a long time, and I fell asleep at the wheel, which is very bad. Don't actually do that. It's a chess metaphor. One move blunder. Boom. Game is over. I played a few more moves, of course, but, yeah, I resigned because, you know, he cleaned up very easily. He's going to bring his rook down, force a trade, infiltrate on my weaknesses. In a position where you're down a piece, I mean, I know I made a video called Never Resign, but sometimes it's okay. A couple rounds later, after picking up a winning streak, I'm playing against an old rival. I played against Greg Shahade in the I'm Not a GM Speed Chess Championship, and he played e4, and I know his openings because I prepared for him for hours, and I know that against the Caro-Kann, and by the way, since I had just lost against d5, with d5, I was going to go for this. I knew that he played the two knights. Now, the two knights is a uber solid line for white. It is really good, it is really annoying, and I didn't really feel like suffering through another really solid game. So I said, okay, I have done some homework in a variation here. I'm gonna go play that variation, because in Washington Chess Congress a couple of months ago, I studied this interesting line, Queen e2. Basically, black is trying to create a Tartakower Caro-Kann, and white is trying to avoid that. That's kind of the benefit of not having played d4. So I play like this. He forces me to take with the g-pawn, which is supposed to not be as good as taking with the e-pawn. I will likely castle this way. I will have the open file. And here he shocked me with this move. G4 is what you're supposed to play here. Like, this is what I know. And G4 is a lot more aggressive. White plays, oh, sorry. White cannot hang this pawn. White has to play D3, and then bishop G2, and I develop my knight to A6, and we have a really imbalanced game. But he played more passively. And I forgot my line here. So here I have a very interesting idea, which is knight D7, and then knight E5, which is the whole reason why you should play G4. So I can trade our knights if this were to happen. We can get a position that looks like this. And actually, black is okay here. I mean, black is fine because the pawn structure damage doesn't matter because white is more overextended. So there is this idea to play also, like in this version, you can play this idea, like knight E5 or something crazy. You know, this is a very, very non-standard idea. And in Blitz, if you don't remember it, I mean, so I decided, okay, I'm going to play this the way I know, which is knight A6. And maybe bring my knight around this way. So E6, castles, knight B4, he went D4. And at this point, I'm like, okay, bishop G6. I mean, how is he going to defend this? I don't understand. And then he showed me, knight E1. I was like, what? He can just go there, like in the middle of this game. I'm like, yeah, what are all my pieces doing? By the way, I can't take D4 because C3. And I get forked and I lose a piece. So I'm like, okay, I can finish my development, or, and I mean, I can do that whenever I want, but, you know, he just went back, so I'm going to play H5. This is my aggressive attempt at creating something, and then I'm going to move my queen and castle long. No problem. He kicks out my knight, I go back here, he kicks out my knight again, and I go back here in order to prevent any hooligans attacking my king with the move D5, and my man just calmly retreats back to F3 like nothing happened. And I'm like, am I misevaluating this position? Which is honestly what happens when you lose in chess. You go for a position and you go, oh, I'm good there. And they go, no, you're not. And you go, no, I'm good there. And they go, no, you're not. And then you figure it out because that's how chess works. Like, you know, we played a couple moves. I traded off his good bishop, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm in the clear. I'm going to castle long. Then I'm going to go here. Then I'm going to attack. And he, like, played a move. I castled, and he played this. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I'm like, oh, the board is a big place. Wow, look at that. That's called a clearance sacrifice. When you clear up a line or a square or like a line for a piece, look at that. Nice move. And he's able to do this because his attack is just much faster. Like, he's just immediately attacking my king, right? So I have to go and lose my pawn. Is this the end of the world? Not yet. I mean, it's a bad position for sure, but knight C6, if he plays here, I just go up and the queen has to get out. It's not devastating just yet. He comes back to A4, and now I'm like, okay, I have a move here, you know? I probably should not let him take. I also should not take because I would lose my queen. If he takes, then he has permanent pressure. I have a couple of ideas. Maybe I drive my bishop here, defend this, kind of threaten a trade. That is a bit of a threat because if you're about to attack a person, you don't want to trade all your pieces. I'm like, okay, but here's an interesting idea. What if I play D4? The idea of D4 is to close the center, then E5, and I expect B4 from my opponent. Maybe I will play E5, he will play B5, and I will move my knight somewhere, and then bishop E4, and he's better, but maybe I'm still fighting. Move is D4. Like 5 seconds on the clock go by, and he goes here. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's just one of those days. It's another move that doesn't look possible. And it is. He has an amazing resource here. This looks well protected. But not if you force the king in front of the queen. And if you force the knight out, you're dead. Because it's check here, and that's it. Queen takes, king here, rook takes d4, and you lose everything. The king is forced in front of the queen on 2 lines. The queen, who is responsible for the defense of the pawn and the knight, the king is forced to walk in front of her twice. This is like in our household when Lucy's making something wonderful in the kitchen, and I'm like running in to like offer my assistance, but instead I'm like tripping over stuff and like knocking things over. And she's like, "Yo, get out of here. Go be a streamer. All right? Go sit in front of your computer and make a video while I do the expert, you know, finesse level stuff. And I'm just like, all right, my fault. I was just trying to be helpful. My fault. True story, by the way. Super clumsy. Me. Yeah, I mean, he played knight d4, and I was like, ah. And this game ended with me getting absolutely butchered, losing all of my pawns, and resigning. So what went wrong in this game? I went for a position where I thought I was doing well, and I expected all the moves that he was going to play, and it turned out my position was horrible. You know that feeling? You're just like, oh, he's going to play all these moves, then I'm going to do this and this and this. All right, cool. Oh, wait a minute. This is like super ass. Why would I go for this? It's just, when you have a bad day of chess, you are doing that times 100, and you are letting it spiral like a domino effect, because all the bad results from the first games carry over to the next game. And this final game, this was the 10th round of Title Tuesday. This was really something special. This was fascinating. This game had so many different phases. So it began with a Queen's Gambit declined against the strong, is this Lithuania? Yeah, Lithuanian, but this person sometimes has the Latvian flag too, so I don't know. Yeah, anyway, strong guy, strong I am. It began with a Queen's Gambit declined and a variation where I went for like a dynamic position with long castling. He castled and I played like Queen e4 with the intention to do very bad things. I wanted to deliver checkmate and was hoping that he wouldn't see it. Here, he shocked me by moving his knight to d5. And I was like, what? That's just a free pawn. Like, I'm having a bad day, but that's a free pawn. So I'm like, okay, no problem. If I take with a knight, take, queen takes is a little bit, I didn't like that because he's not going to trade queens with me. He's going to like put his queen out here, and then my queen and bishop are stuck. Like, he's going to attack them. So, okay, I don't want my queen out there. If I leave my bishop out there, he's going to hit my queen. He's going to develop quickly. So I'm like, why don't I take with my bishop and then my knight? And my point is, I'm going to take his bishop and then trade queens. I'm going to force all the pieces off the board and just be a pawn up. Then we got there, and I'm like, I have to go king d2. Why? Because if queen e5, queen g6. Who's stopping the rook? Who is stopping the rook? Nobody. Nobody's stopping the rook. I have no one to stop the rook. Rook d2 does nothing. Because I still can't. And I mean, if I don't play queen e4, who's stopping the rook? King d2 is the only move that doesn't lose. So I have to play king d2. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to lose this game too. This is completely nuts. And then here, I go full defensive mode. And I transfer my rook and run my king. And I've equalized. My opponent didn't take his opportunity. Instead, he played way too solidly. He did not attack any of my pieces. Apparently, rook d5 is not what he should have played. He should have been more aggressive. He should have tried to get rid of my knight and then chopped in and, you know, found a way to win. But he played solidly, and I'm like, oh, breath of fresh air. Yes, I've consolidated everything. Now, we are maybe not playing to lose this game. Let's trade the queens. So we trade queens. I'm like, okay, I am a pawn up. But he's probably going to win it back because it's going to be really hard for me to defend this position. Okay, so he doesn't win the pawn back, but he damages my structure. Okay, so now we're playing this game for a win. If you're wondering why I included this game in the video of how I lost so many games in Title Tuesday, just keep on watching. So of course we have to play h4 so we don't lose the pawn. Now we are trying to get over here. We are slowly building our advantage against this player. I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good. Now what? All right, rook c5, good move, trying to trade into a nice endgame. Instructive, turning the isolated pawn into a 3-on-2 endgame over there. He doesn't bite, he plays this nice move, which kind of holds everything together. Here, what I should do is I should immediately trade. I should go for just a one-on-one, try to get it into a king and pawn endgame, and just start advancing all the pawns forward together. But I suck, and I'm having a really bad chess day, so I let him not trade rooks. And when you're trying to win a rook endgame, and there's 4 of them on the board, make it 2. Preferably 1 each, not 2 for your opponent. Don't hang both your rooks. You know, and now I'm like, okay, let's go trade my flank pawn weakness. I have this isolated pawn, I want to trade it. He does a good job. He plays king g7. It's a smart move because if he takes, now he's left with a kind of a weakness. So I keep pushing forward. And I blunder the d4 pawn. I push forward and I blunder my pawn. However, it's not so clear because he also has weaknesses. and he blunders immediately. He blunders this. And now I'm up a pawn again on a 4-on-3 rook endgame. Of course, we are low on time. Don't think that I have like 10 minutes here. So he plays a5, and I play b5, and he plays a4. And I'm like, okay, how do I get this pawn without losing this pawn? Easy, by not getting the pawn at all. So now I have rook on 3, rook on 2, and he has more time than me. He plays king h5. And I'm like, well, if I play king f3, he's just going to check me and still get in. So I'm not going to play king f3. I'm going to play rook a5 and allow king g4 and blunder my pawn. Okay, I don't know why I wouldn't just play rook a4, but okay. I mean, maybe I was afraid of check and here and the pawn coming. Okay, so no problem. Nope, now we're losing. Okay, now we're losing. We're losing, but somehow my opponent blunders something absolutely horrible. Folks, when you are trying to win a rook and pawn endgame, be active with your king. Do not run it and get it cut off on a file. This is the last thing you want. And then, when you are cutting off your opponent's king, just push. Don't let your opponent's king get closer. Push the pawns. You have 2 passed pawns. Now he let me get super close. Now I know it's a draw again. But, I don't want to go here. Because then my king will get cut off. So I'm like, okay, check here. And in this position, folks, you are about to witness the most stupid thing you have ever seen in your life. Like, I have made a lot of videos, but oh my god, this was by far the dumbest thing. I did not want to take this pawn because I thought this move lost the rook. I just forgot I could go here. I also thought there were moments this endgame, well, if he takes my rook, I realized later, with 5 seconds on the clock, that this endgame, when the rook comes and checks me, are going to be losing king and pawn endgames if I do it at the wrong moment. If I take it the wrong moment, like a little bit later here, it's going to be a losing king and pawn endgame. Like right here, you know, I started like panicking if I take the pawn or something. So that is completely insane because if in this position, right now, for example, if I take, I lose. Check here, this is a losing king and pawn endgame. You just have to know your endgames. But the king went back. It went back, and now if I take, it's just a draw. But because I had so little time, I was like, oh, it's losing, I can't take the pawn, I can take the pawn. And then in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, of course I can take the pawn. What am I talking about? Of course I can take the pawn. But I took the pawn when the king went to the other side. I took the pawn when the king is on the other side of the pawn. And now it's a losing king and pawn endgame because my opponent gets opposition. If you don't know anything about king and pawn endgames and you're confused, go watch a king and pawn endgame video. But I promise you, if the king was here and I was up against this king, it's a draw. But because the king comes in from the other side, I lose. And I lost a rook endgame up a pawn. And that is how we are going to end this video because some of the games I got completely destroyed, like the first game, that was great. But when you lose games like this, you know it's time to take a break. Either for the whole day or, I don't know, for 10 years or something. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video of me losing in a variety of different ways. From some of these games, there's definitely stuff to learn. What I always do after I lose a game, particularly after like an interesting opening, is I go look at the theory, I go look at an opening database, I see what I did well, I see if there's any strong player I can follow the next time that I play. And when I screw up games like this, I don't think twice about them, you know? I mean, this was just a really stupid game that I lost in time trouble, but it happens. And after you hit your peak rating, sometimes you're going to lose 140 points, but we're all in this together. So hope you enjoyed this on the rest day of the World Chess Championship. And if you're watching this sometime in the future, hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. And I hope to see you in future videos. Goodbye. Get out of here.